My name is Patrick, but you can call me 26. And what we're going to do now is we are going to build an app where a user can drag a map pin, and wherever they settle on the map, they're going to get the location, right? So for example, here we are in Naples in Italy, and if you drag this to around San Giovanni Arteduccio, you're going to get this Via Principe di San Nicandro 11A, right? So when you draw this, and you notice as you're drawing it, the pin becomes larger, and when it settles, it changes color and becomes smaller, and then the string disappears and it appears here. So we're going to build all this in SwiftUI using the map reader, as you can see here, right? So this is pretty useful, or it could be a pretty cool thing to build if you're building an app that requires a user to interact with the map and maybe send their location. Maybe you have an Uber clone, or an app that allows a user to be picked up by pick up or drop off something, right? And you need a precise location. You could just give the user this pin that they can use, this map pin, and wherever they settle on, they're going to get the location of where the user has dropped the pin, right? So that can be useful. So you could use that location for something, right? So subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let's proceed. So let's get to it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a few things that are going to be for our convenience. We're going to create the initial span, which we'll use on the map, and also the location, right? So this will be a predefined location that we will show when our map starts, right? So let's just create them here. These are just for convenience. So the first thing we need to import, of course, is going to be map-kit. So import map, that, like so. Then at the bottom here, we're going to have two extensions, or maybe you could put them in their own file. Let's come here, do this, command and create a new Swift file, like so. And this is just going to be called, let's call it extensions, like so. And what this is going to be, okay, we can use foundation. Oh no, we need map-kit here. So let's just make the map-kit, right? And we're going to have the extension here. And for the extension, we're going to have the MK coordinate span, right? And we're going to have a static variable. And this is going to be static var. And this static var is going to be an initial span. And this is going to be MK coordinate span, right? So we have the MK coordinate span, and we're just going to return. What are we going to return? We're going to return .init, and what are we going to initialize? .init latitude delta, and this is going to be 0.07, like so, and this is going to be 0.07, like so, right? So we have the initial span there, and the next thing we need to do is we need to have another extension, and this extension is going to be MK. No, it's going to be collocation coordinates 2D, like so. And what we're going to have is going to be static var. Now set this to wherever you think should be the location of your the location you want it to start at, right? So this is just for convenience for us, since you're going to be referencing it at least twice. So I'm just going to set mine to be Napoli, which is a city in Italy, and this is going to be collocation coordinates 2D, like so. And what we want to do is just come here, and we're going to return. What are we going to return? We're going to have collocation, like that. See a location, collocation, like so. Coordinate 2D, like so. And what we want is going to be the latitude and the longitude. And the latitude and the longitude, this is going to be 40.853, like so. 853.294. Like so. And the latitude, that's going to be, that's the latitude, so we get the longitude, and that's going to be 14.305573, right? So that's going to be the latitude and the longitude of the particular location that you would like to have, right? Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to go to our content view. Let's go back to our content view. And what we want for our content view is to create a couple of state variables, right? Now, the state variables you're going to create first is going to be the annotation title, which it's going to hold the title for the annotation. So let's create that. Let's come here and we say at state var. This is going to be annotation title, like so. Annotation title is going to be an empty string, right? That's what it's going to hold. Then we're going to have coordinate, which is going to hold the coordinate, and we're going to set it to Napoli. So we say at state, and this is just for convenience, like I said, and this is going to be coordinate, coordinate, and this is going to be of type this, right? So when you tell it this, we can just say dot Napoli, right? So you could put it here, or you could like spell it out over here, or if you tell it the type, that is going to be collocation coordinate 2D, right? Just say Napoli like this. You have access to the static variable, which is going to be in our case Napoli, right? So that's which we have predefined, and then the span, which we are going to have, which is going to be at state. Okay, var, and this is going to be something like map span, and map span is going to be coordinate span, and this is going to be dot. We have the initial span, right? This is going to be the predefined span. Then we have the map camera position, which is going to be the camera, and we come here and we say at state var. This is going to be camera, like so, camera, and this is going to be map camera position, like so, and this is going to be dot region, and the region in question is going to be centered on, and it's going to be centered on Napoli, right? So we say dot Napoli. This is why I was putting it here, because if you had to specify the coordinates here, you'd also have to specify them here, right? So it's going to be two places. It's more convenient to do it like this, right? So that's one option, right? And the same with span, we'd have to put it here, right? So the camera is going to be dependent on the initial span, right? So what this does is just it holds the camera position for the map view, right? Then we're going to have the state variable. We come in to say at state, and this is going to be var update camera. Update camera is going to be set to false. That one knows it's a boolean, so we don't need to it can interpret that it's a boolean. Pretty easy to follow, unlike the coordinates. And here we have state var display title, and this one is going to be false, right? So you're going to see that in a bit, right? And now we come to the body, right? Now, one thing that iOS 17 allowed us to do is that it allowed us to have access to the coordinates of a map when a user interacts with the map, right? That was not possible before that. You had to use UIKit to do that, right? So now we have what is known as the map reader, right? Map reader, right? A container view that determines the content as a function of information about what is contained in a map, right? So if you wrap a map reader and then you have access to something in it called the proxy, and you say in, you could have a map like so, and the map is going to have a position, and the position is going to be $camera, right? So if we do that, we do get Napoli, right? The official the airport and whatnot, right? So this is actually what we do. Now, the advantage of this, since we have access to the proxy, that means that we have access to the internal, when a user taps or interacts with our map, we have access to that location. That is what is going to help us drag our pin so that we can get different locations, right? So that is it. And if you want to read about that, you could come here and you can have a look at the map reader. I was just looking at an implementation that uses map reader on GitHub, right? So this is it. You could read about this and you have access to it, and you can manage the camera feature selection, and more importantly, it has access to the proxy, right? So you could have a couple of triggers, and that's what you're going to use to get the location of where the user touched. Now, what's the next thing we need to do? The next thing we need to do is we need to get the function that finds the name of the coordinates using reverse geocoding, right? So when you touch on a location in the map, right? So when you touch on a location in the map, we need a function that is going to take those the coordinates there and reverse geocode it into a string that we can show, right, on the screen, right? So what that is going to do is it's going to be called, give it a name, and here we're just going to say func, and this is going to be called find or finf, or whatever you want to call it, coordinate. And find coordinate, what it's going to do is we're going to come here and we're just going to say, we're first going to reset the annotation title. So let's come in and say annotation title is going to be an empty string, right? So when you come here, first we set the annotation title, then we use a task to perform an asynchronous operation, right? We have a task here, come, and what's going to be it's going to be let location, and location is just going to be gotten from core location, this, and latitude and longitude, and we can get this from the current coordinates, right? Coordinates dot latitude, and this is going to be coordinates dot longitude, right? So the current coordinate in our case, it's going to be, when you start off, it's going to be that, and then we're going to use geocoder, and this is what is going to do a lot of the magic. So we say let's geocoder, and geocoder is just going to be CL. That's right. So we get that geocoder, and then we attempt to perform a reverse geocoding and update the annotation title, right? So we come here and we say if let name, and this is just going to be try, like so, and this is going to be await, and this is going to be geocoder, like so, and we say reverse geocoding location, and this is going to be location, and we would like to get dot first, and we say dot name, right? And when we get that, we are going to say annotation title is going to be set to the name. So get that, and if you can get the name, right? If you can, because you're not always going to get, and even when you are tapping through the map, you're going to notice that some areas don't have really names, like some roads. You might find like big places or big roads have names, right? So you'd find something like Via Ferrara, Via Galileo Ferraris, all those roads in Napoli you'd find them with names, but there are places where you just get the postal code, right? So that's something you could think of, right? The next thing we want to do is we want to create the drag pin, which will represent the draggable annotation on the map, right? So we want our particular pin to be draggable, right? So what we would do is we would come here and we say command N, and this is going to be a SwiftUI view, right? And this is going to be let's call it map pin, right? Map pin, or is it going to be a bit confusing because I believe there's a, what's it called, the other, and it's called, okay, let's just call it map pin, right? Okay, map pin, like so, hit create, that's going to be that. And now for the map pin, what you're going to have here is it's going to have we're going to pass in the proxy, and the proxy is going to be from the parent view, right? So we're going to have the proxy, and the proxy is going to be map proxy, like so, right? And import mapkit SwiftUI. Okay, let's just say import mapkit, like so, right? And for now, we're just going to do this, right? Because we don't want to pass it in, right? So to get rid of the preview, since you're going to be calling it, it's going to be called in with a binding, right? Then the binding is going to be the coordinates, which are going to be passed in from the view, right? Binding is going to be var coordinates, like so. Coordinates are going to be of type collocation coordinate 2D, and then we're going to have a function on the coordinate change. We say on coordinate change, like so, and this is going to be, we're going to come here, and this is this coordinate 2D, and we're just going to have that, right? And then we're going to have a state at state, and this is going to be var is active, going to be a boolean. Then we say at state var translation is going to be core graphic size, and this is going to be .0, right? So we do that, and that is going to be that. And then we're going to have a geometry reader, and the geometry reader is going to be used to read the geometry of the parent view, right? That's what we're particularly interested in. Let's come here and we say geometry reader, like so, geometry reader, and what we want is going to be let frame is going to be, and we're going to say $0 dot frame in, and that's going to be the global space. So we say dot globally, so we have access to that, and we're going to have an image, and here you could put whatever image you want. It's going to be a system name, and the name in question for us is going to be map.circle.fill, right? What that does is it's going to give us access in particular to the this is going to be the system name that you're going to see, right? So pick something you like. I'm just going to go with map.circle.fill, it looked like what a map is to me. This pin looks so to be honest, I like the Google glyph. I don't know what there's a Google, the one that Google uses for location is a bit better, right? But there's none NSF symbol that looks like it, right? As in, let's see, coordinate, okay, location. Okay, you could use location, right? Okay, whichever you prefer, right? Okay, here they say let's use location.circle, right? Location.circle. .circle.fill, right? So that's one way we could do it, right? So get something that communicates location, and then we want it large. So we say font is going to be .large title, right? Then after that, we are going to say we want it when you're moving it. We want it to sort of to add the vivaciousness. We want the color to change as you're moving it. Foreground style, right? Foreground style. This is going to be is active, and this is going to be color dot red. Else, when it's at rest, it's going to be color dot color dot purple, right? Or two different colors, right? So if you change the color based on whether or not a user is moving it, that's going to be that, right? And what we also want to do is, this is just the animation part, right? So this is going to be animation, and here we're going to have dot bouncy, like so, and we're going to come here and we say content in, like so. And what we want to do is come here and say content, and we come and say dot scale effect, like so. And the scale effect here is just going to be is active. So if it is active, make it is active, make it 1.3. So when it's moving, 1.3 or 1.4, however you want to do it, right? So you scale the icon when you're moving it, right? And then we give it a frame. Come here and we say dot frame. What's the frame going to be? The width is going to be the frame dot width, like so, and the height is going to be the frame dot height, like so, right? So we have a frame height and a frame width, and the next thing, we're going to have a modifier that triggers when is active state changes, right? So we're going to have a modifier, and what that is going to be is, let's just come here and say dot on change of, and this is going to trigger when is active, right? So it is active, hit this, come here, and what we're going to have access to is going to be the old value and the new value. What we're going to do here is we're going to calculate the position of the pin and update the coordinates if it is not active, right? So when that means that you have finished dragging. So update the coordinates when the dragging has ended, right? So let's come here and we say let position is just going to be CG point, like so, and the X can be gotten from the frame dot mid X, and the Y can be gotten from the frame dot mid Y, right? So we get that, and then we say if let coordinate, spell correctly, coordinate, and this is just going to be proxy dot convert. And what do we want to convert? We want to convert the actual position, right? And we want to convert it not from, but to, not to, but from, and we get that from the global space, right? The global coordinate space. And we also would not want a new value. Let's come in and say new value, right? What we would like to do is we want to come here and say self dot coordinate. Or what do we call it? We call it coordinates, right? Should we change that? Self dot coordinates, or whatever you want to call it, right? It's going to be coordinate, right? So we change it there, and then the translation is going to be .0, like so. And then we are going to call on coordinate change, and we pass in, what do we pass in? Like so, right? That is more or less sorted. And then now we need to give it a frame. So we set the frame and interaction for the area, right? So after that, we would come and say, let's see, on the geometry reader, let's come to the geometry reader and we say dot frame, and here it's going to have a width, and the width is going to be 30, and then we're going to have a height, and the height is going to be 30, right? So we have that, and we want the content rect. This is for hit testing. Content shape, and this is going to be dot rect, right? So that's going to be that, and we offset it. We say offset, and this is going to be the translation, right? So this is applies the translation to the view, right? That's what it does. And after that, we still have to add gestures. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out how we can add gestures to this particular the pin. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to put a gesture here, and this is going to be a gesture, and the gesture in question is going to be long press gesture, like so. The minimum duration is going to be, you have to have at least press it for 0.2, and when it ends, we just want to say for the long press gesture, okay, trying to get the dot here, dot, let's just say dot on ended. What we would like is let's get rid of this. We don't need this closure. We're going to use $sign notation, right? Do this, right? So on ended, we're just going to say is active. Set it to that, and then after that, we are going to simultaneously at the same time, simultaneous gesture simultaneously with another gesture, which is going to be the drag gesture, right? So you long press and then you drag, and the drag with the minimum distance is going to be, it starts immediately. So we just, I think we don't even need to say that, right? We could just come here and we say afterwards dot on changed, like so, hit that, and we could say we want access to the value here, right? So get rid of one of these, right? So here we're just going to have the value, and the value in the code, what we could say is if is active, that is updates the translation during the drag, right? So if it's active, what you're going to do is just say translation, and the translation is just going to be value dot translation, right? So we do that, and at the end of this, we could come here and we say dot on ended, right? Dot on ended, like so. Hit this, come here, do that, come here, do this, and this is going to be value in the closure. And what we would like to do is when the drag ends, is active, it's going to be set to false, right? So basically stop, when you stop dragging, stop the, we change the flag, right? The Boolean flag here of is active, right? So that's going to be our pin, and that's everything to do with our pin. And now let's put our pin to good use, right? So what you're going to do is you're going back to our content view, and right now we just have a map showing where we are. And what we would want to do is we would put an annotation. Let's come here to say we want an annotation, like so, and the title is going to be annotation title, like so, and the coordinate is going to be the coordinate. And here we could have our drag pin, which is going to be the view. We're going to say our map pin, like so, and our map pin is going to be it requires a proxy. So the proxy in question is going to be the have we created it? Let's see. We're getting it from the map reader, right? So that's just going to be proxy here. So we pass in the proxy. The coordinates in question are going to be the coordinates, and on change, we're just going to come here and in the closure, hit enter, like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to have coordinate in, and what are we going to call here? We're going to call a function find coordinates, right? So that's going to be that. And after that, we are going to update, we're going to check if the camera should update. So we're going to come here and say something like guard update camera, else return, like so. And then afterwards, we would need to create a new region based on the current coordinate, right? So we say let new region, and the new region is just going to be mk coordinate region, and the center is going to be mk coordinate region, and that's going to be the center is going to be from the coordinates, and the span is going to be that, right? That is going to be that, and we'd like to move it with animation. So we come here and we say with animation like so, and this is going to be smooth like so. And what we would want is going to be the camera is going to be region, and the region here is going to be the new region, right? So we have the new region like so, and after that we would need a modifier. We need to put modifiers that listen for changes in the maps camera, right? So we would come and put it, I'm guessing here, right, on the map reader. So let's come here and we say dot on map camera change, and the code in question is going to be, we could say context. Come here, say context in, and we come here and we just say map span is going to be context dot region dot span, right, where we update. And what we do here is we update the current map span based on the current region, right? And then we want a modifier that will trigger when the view appears, right? So what we would do here is just come and say we would find coordinates when the view appears, right? So we say here on appear on appear like so, and we're just going to come here and we're going to call find coordinates, right? Find coordinates like so. So when the map comes in, we just want to find our coordinates, right? Our issue is that this annotation is supposed to be in our map, right? So what we do is we could come do this and then get the annotation here like so, get all of this, come cut this, put it in here like so, and then afterwards we could put this too, right? Come cut this, put this on the map, right? So we come and we put it, where do we put it? Let's say here, right? So we put it on the map, right? This modifiers on map camera change and on appear, right? So if we do that on appear, right, we'll if we comment this out, it will not show when the map appears for the first time. It won't show the location, right? But it will show it when you move it, right? So we want to tell it just when you start off, make sure that you show the find coordinates, right? So do this, right? So when it starts, it's going to find that, and we are on Via Nuova della Breccia 216, right? So you could move that there, and Via della Repubblica Marinare, right? That's just right next to the ocean, right? The main road, right? And yeah, that's it. So let's put it to the test. Let's swipe through. Let's go to Ecolano, closer to Herculaneum, and put this there. And this is going to be Via Mare, which is going to be the main road that runs down. And if we go to Portici, wait, you see it gets bigger as you're moving, and then when you put it down, it changes. It removes the string that was here, and now we're going to Vico Madonnelle 7A, right? So some places don't have names. Let me try and get a place that I have a name, right? Of course you could. Okay, you will get to a place like that only has like what's it called? You'll get to a place and you find that it only has the name of it doesn't have the name of the road, which is what Via is, right? It has a name of the postal code, right? When I was building it, I could find places, but right now I can't, right? So we're moving closer to the touristy areas, right? So let's do that, right? Okay, so that's how you would build it, and that's how you would change it, and that's what it would look like, right? Pretty straightforward. And what really helps us is the proxy gives us access. So if we get the proxy, we can use it to get access to the actual location, and then now we can show where the map the user has touched on the map. And this is advantageous, like if you're asking if you have an app and a user needs to put in the location, like their pickup location, for example, if you have an Uber clone or a map like that, right? So if you need to put the pickup location, you just move this and put it there, and oh yeah, we have one, 80056. So this doesn't have a name, right? So if you put it somewhere, it's going to tell the user that this is the pickup location, or this is the location that I'm in, and that's where this would be useful. So thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.